First at 11, we're tracking new developments as National Guard troops mobilize on the Oregon coast for their Portland deployment. Here is what we know. Some 200 members are now training at Camp Rylea in Warrenton, according to Senator Jeff Merkley. And while the timing of boots on the ground in the Rose City remains unclear, indications are it is not likely to be tomorrow. And that's because on Friday morning, a federal judge will hear Oregon's emergency motion to block the deployment. Meanwhile, the governor says the 60-day operation could cost some $10 million. That's accounting for salaries, supplies, and lodging. This evening, Police Chief Bob Day appeared on CNN to address what is happening on the ground here, particularly outside the South Portland ICE facility, to a national audience. Take a look.
We're working closely with our federal partners, but the facility itself is managed and governed by the Federal Protective Service, and they have responsibility for that. And the incidents you speak of, for example, last night, occurring on their property. But Portland is very much engaged. And once again, this is just one small block in a big city that we're trying to manage for all the Portlanders.
Well, let's bring in Alma McCarty now live at that one small block near the ICE building in South Portland. So Alma, how are things looking this evening?
Yeah, David, I can tell you that within the last literally 2 minutes, there was one person who was taken into ICE custody, into that DHS facility, and another person was maced, what appeared to be maced right in the eyes. I'll take a step out of the way. You know, this crowd that is outside of the facility right now, this appears to be comparable to yesterday's size, although there did seem to be an uptick in agitators, you know, people riling up the protesters specifically this evening. We spoke with folks in the area really to get their impression of how this situation is being characterized. Wednesday night outside South Portland's ICE facility.
Take a picture too. They don't last you longer.
A small group of protesters heckle federal agents standing on the roof.
ICE! ICE!
Then an announcement.
This is the Federal Protective Service. The facility is closed and not open to the public.
Minutes later, in formation, the officers exit the open gates and appear to go after one protester. Some residents living and observing close by say activity like this ebbs and flows.
I was down here the other night just standing along the side of the building there, and when they came out and were chasing people, and I was just like, don't start shooting over here.
In a war zone, that seems a bit extreme to me. Because I haven't seen any, there hasn't been much in the way of like people actually, fighting.
Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin with the Department of Homeland Security sent a statement to KGW about activity in this spot Tuesday. She wrote in part, over 100 rioters stormed an ICE facility in Portland, something KGW has not been able to independently verify. Our crews on the ground saw at most 40 people.
Definitely wasn't 100 people.
McLaughlin went on to write they assaulted law enforcement, even putting one member of law enforcement into the hospital, trespassed on federal property, attacked law enforcement by blinding them with strobe lights, and blocked the entrance to the facility. While we did see an ambulance enter the facility, we don't know who this was for. Our crews said protesters also used a few flashlights set to strobe mode. Mostly they've used loudspeakers.
Honestly, for the most part, it was pretty peaceful yesterday, and it wasn't as chaotic as they were saying. I didn't see anybody rush the gate at all. And like I said, I think more of the rushing came from the actual agents and stuff when they rolled out in the van and started just tearing down the street towards people and everything.
Another assertion that 6 rioters were arrested, including for charges of assaulting law enforcement. However, we were unable to find those suspects booked into the Multnomah County Jail. DHS tells us they're looking into the details of those arrests. All right, back live. This is the scene out there. You can just see the people standing really in the driveway, but beyond the blue line that is painted on the ground, demarcating where federal property is and where public property is. You saw earlier there was a vehicle that went into the building, or that's what we saw, and that is when the agents started to come back out. We will, of course, continue to follow this situation from what the federal officials are saying down to these protests, and we will have continued continued coverage starting tomorrow on Sunrise. David, back to you.
Yeah, Alma, I appreciate you breaking it down there, including talking about the peaceful protesters, what the federal agents are doing, and also the fact that there are agitators, people who I take it from what you're saying, meant to cause trouble or trying to cause trouble there on the ground. Really appreciate you reporting there tonight. Stay safe.